So, welcome to my raw reaction for the Golden State Warriors series. Now, I didn't do a Game 2, Game 3, or Game 4 recap. Honestly, I was heartbroken after each loss. And maybe this is a bad excuse, but I was too heartbroken to go and break down footage. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was too tough because 17-point leads in all three of those games, and we couldn't hang on to a single one. So it's very frustrating because honestly, it feels like we should be up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals right now. I know a lot of Blazer fans are saying we should just be happy with making the Western Conference, and we definitely should be happy with making it. This is a run that I honestly didn't see coming at the end of the season. I thought we could get past the first round, and I said there's a small chance at making the Western Conference Finals, but I didn't actually expect it to happen. So on one hand, I'm very happy. I'm proud of this team. It was a great run, a great story, battling back from adversity on multiple occasions, whether it comes to the Pelican sweep from last season, whether it comes to Nurkic's injury, CJ got hurt, we were still winning games down the stretch to get the 3 seed. The last night of the season getting us the 3 seed, which gave us a chance to get into the Western Conference Finals when Skal Labissière and Anthony Simons combined for 66 points. It was a great season with a lot of great storylines. It was the best season I've ever watched. And I was there in person when Nurkic went down with his leg injury and thinking about how far this team had come, how much adversity it already had battled back from. And it was sad because, at that point in time, it was like, we can't win a series without Nurkic. That dude is crucial to our team. I honestly thought when he went down that our season was over. Now, the next day, I put on that optimistic cap and thought, okay, maybe we can still win a series. I made that reaction video to his injury and I was down, but I was still trying to be optimistic. Part of it was for you guys. I wanted to try and, uplift your spirits. But I was also trying to take a positive mindset towards the rest of the season. And then it results in us being in the Western Conference Finals. So, can't be dissatisfied with that. I'm very satisfied. It sucks that Blazer basketball is gone. But at the same time, I'm happy with where we ended up in the Western Conference Finals. Didn't know how long it was going to be until I saw my first Western Conference Finals and I was able to see it. But on the other hand, it's very frustrating that I think we honestly could have won this series, and we didn't. We got swept. We were up 17 in 3 games, and if we just keep playing our brand of basketball, I think we win at least 2 of those 3 games. Maybe the Warriors still go on one of their magical runs that they always go on to pull out a game, but we should be at least tied 2-2 going into a best of 3 to go to the NBA Finals. That's what's so frustrating about this, and the frustrating part is a lot of the same flaws that have hampered us all season, that hampered us in the Pelican series, were the reason why we lost Game 2, Game 3, and Game 4. A lot of the flaws that I feel like we should have learned from is what I believe what cost us this season in the end. And a lot of people were saying, Golden State, they're so talented. They won those games because of how talented they were. And I mean, I can't say they're wrong, but I also think part of it was us beating ourselves. Whenever the Warriors went on those runs, our offense turned into something that was just bogged down, kind of stagnant, very little ball movement, a lot of dribbling around near half court. The things I complained about before the season, the things I'd complain about during the season, and the things that ended up costing us this season in the end. The things that could have possibly cost us a chance at a championship. So that's where a lot of my frustration came from, and that's frankly why I'm disappointed. Now, if the Warriors won solely because of how freakishly talented they were, I wouldn't be disappointed. We ran into a dynasty that outplayed us because of their talent. But I honestly don't feel that way. Dame struggled. CJ kind of regressed from that Denver series, forced a lot of tough shots, settled for a lot of jumpers after a Game 7 against Denver where he attacked the rim really, really well, and he was a great player for it, and we won that series because of it. But not only were those guys struggling, but it was also a product of our offense just completely stagnating. People not moving off the ball not moving. Our defense in Game 1 was really bad because we didn't adjust it. In Game 2, we adjusted it to a trapping blitzing scheme, and honestly, we lost that game in the fourth quarter because they cleared out one side of the floor and we didn't quite know how to rotate behind us blitzing the pick and roll. And I believe we didn't know quite how to rotate behind it because we haven't ran that scheme all year. I don't think we ran it last year. It's the first time we've ran that scheme in who knows how long. And people were saying, oh, he needs, more than one game to prepare that scheme, but I've been saying for quite a while now that I think that during the regular season we should be running multiple schemes, run the right scheme for the situation. A certain defensive scheme is going to work against a certain type of team. Some defensive schemes do a better job of taking away other teams' strengths than other defensive schemes. Basically, we should just be more versatile in them. And if we're more versatile in them, then we have experience running pretty much every scheme during the regular season, and we'd probably be more ready to run it in the postseason. Maybe Stotts doesn't wait until game 2 to put in the right scheme, and then when he does put in the right scheme, we'd probably be better rotating on help side defense and taking away the layups that the Warriors were getting in game 2. We probably win game 2 if we knew how to rotate in help side, and we would know how to properly do that on a consistent basis if we actually ran that scheme during the regular season. If we essentially did what I've been asking for, which is to have a more versatile defense. I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. I don't want to sound like somebody who thinks he's smarter than the head coach of an NBA team, but for me, that's just common sense. I've experienced playing a blitzing scheme at a college level. We worked like crazy on our backside rotations. We'd do scramble drills, and it came to the point that we knew exactly how to rotate behind that blitz, and in game 2, I didn't see that from the Portland Trail Blazers. Golden State's talented. They probably could have figured out a way to beat it anyway. But you're talking about a game 2 game that came down to the wire, where if we played better defense on 1 or 2 possessions, we probably could have won that game. And reasons like that costing us to lose games in the Western Conference Finals is frustrating for me because, this is just my opinion. You might not agree with me, but in my opinion, it's been a problem for years that hasn't gotten fixed. Hopefully Terry Stotts will learn from it because now he's extended. So who knows how long he'll be our head coach for, possibly for the rest of Damian Lillard's career. So hopefully he learns from it because that's what's going to have to happen. But in my opinion, Terry didn't coach the best series. Now, I know they're talented. I know that Aminu and Harkless really struggled. They didn't make the Warriors pay for trapping Dame because they couldn't hit an outside shot. And then when they attacked the rim, they struggled at that as well. So I know there's some issues with the roster construction. I know the Warriors are good, but in my opinion, coaching is controllable, and coaching needs to put the team in the best possible position to win games, and I don't think they did that, and that's what was so frustrating because we had 3 huge leads, and a couple of those games came down right to the wire, and it's just at the point where if we did things a little better on the preparation standpoint, if we had aspects of coaching that we did better, some of the things that I've recommended I think would have worked, then you could be talking about a completely different series. I could be recapping a win right now, talking about how we have a chance to go to the finals and knock off the dynasty that is the Golden State Warriors. So that part was frustrating for me. I know if you guys follow me on Twitter, I was kind of venting about Stotts, but I also don't want to be too negative because, this was a great season. The Warriors, we probably would have lost to them anyway, even if the coaching was at top notch. Even if Aminu and Harkless were hitting shots at a high level, we probably still would have lost this series. So I don't want to make it all about my negative opinion about some of the things that went on. I'm just kind of venting because those were some of the things that frustrated me. I also saw a lot of Blazer fans getting into little heated battles on Twitter. Blazers Twitter had a lot of back and forth in the past few days, and a lot of it was people, complaining about some of the problem areas, some of the forwards, and some other people saying, how dare you complain, we should be proud. I think neither groups of those people were wrong. We should be proud. We should be happy for this season. This was a resounding success, and we should definitely be happy that our guys made it this far. But at the same time, we all want a championship. I've never seen a championship. A lot of you guys probably have never seen a championship, and we had a chance to get a championship, so it's going to be frustrating when we make mistakes, and that chance goes out the window in a sweep. I think both people are justified for feeling how they feel. The only people I don't think are justified are the people saying trade Dame or Dame's a fake superstar or all that, because the Warriors completely loaded up on him, and the offense is basically dedicated to constantly running pick and roll and handoffs or isolation, and the Warriors were trapping pick and rolls and handoffs, and on isolation, they were getting up in Dame's body, and Draymond Green was basically shadowing the play. A lot of times, Dame made the right play, would make the right pass to Aminu, would make the right pass to Harkless. They wouldn't make a play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Dame made bad decisions in this series outside of probably like 5, 6, 7 plays. There is a couple times where, for whatever reason, he like completely lost focus and threw a pass almost directly to the other team. I mean, in game 4, you had that play where he passed it basically straight to the Warriors. I don't know who it was. And then Steph Curry was pushing in transition at the end of the clock, and Dame was in front of him, and there was a Blazer trailing the play to help out, and Dame committed a clear path foul. Now, I know a lot of people were arguing that it shouldn't have been a clear path foul. And honestly, it should have been a clear path foul if you're looking at the rule, but they need to reinterpret that rule. They need to look at it because I think that's a weird rule when he's at the elbow and Dame was in front of him right before he fouled him. You know what I mean? But regardless, that was a really, really bad turnover and unfocused foul by Dame. He was in great position. He didn't even need to foul in the first place. He had help coming. He compounded that turnover with a clear path foul. And the Warriors ended up scoring 5 points on that possession when they probably should have scored none. And that ended up being the difference in the game. So there was some bad plays here and there where Dame completely lost focus, or maybe it was fatigue or something, where he made a really bad play, and those bad plays can end up stacking up and resulting in close losses that could have otherwise been wins. But Dame at the same time isn't going to be perfect. We wouldn't be out of the first round without him. People were a little bit too much of a prisoner of the moment. Dame was a superhero after that first round, after that Denver series. It's like, he wasn't that good, but look at the way he's being guarded. And then he was a little bit worse in the Warriors series, and some people just flipped on him, which I don't support. That's the only type of fan opinion that I will call out, that I will kind of put on blast, because people need to pay attention to the forwards he's playing with that can't hit a shot. He has Evan Turner spacing the floor for him. You know, the offense doesn't really come off the ball that much, so he's expected to create a ton of offense. They don't really push in transition, so Dame isn't able to get easy buckets and get going that way. So he's basically playing 1-on-2, trying to create stuff at almost all times. And it's also against good defenders in Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. It's a very good defensive team that knows how to defend at a championship level. So I don't blame Dame at all for that bad series. And I think people, the people hating on Dame, the people bashing Dame, the people saying don't give him the supermax, the people saying he's not a superstar, he's a fake superstar, whatever crap they're saying, they're not doing a good enough job of paying attention to the defense that's played against Dame. And a lot of people will say, oh, I saw the defense, but there's still no excuse. If you're a superstar, you should be able to beat it. And in my opinion, that's BS. You expect him to be able to do a good job playing 1-on-2 against Klay Thompson and Draymond Green? Klay Thompson, probably one of the best 5 perimeter defenders in the league, and Draymond Green, probably one of the best 5 all-around defenders in the league, and you expect him to be able to effectively play at a star level by going 1-on-2 against those two guys? No, that's not going to happen. You put James Harden in that situation, and James Harden would have had a terrible series as well. The thing is with James Harden is they ISO him a lot, and he is surrounded by shooters and a very good lob threat in Clint Capella. So teams can't really double team him like they double team Dame, because they have the pieces to make defenses pay for doing that. And that's something Portland is going to have to try and get to this offseason, and construct a roster that can make a defense pay for trapping Dame like the Golden State Warriors did. And we were still up 17 in 3 different games. So it's not like we're not close. Just imagine if we had a couple of forwards that were actually 3-and-D players. Imagine if we had guys getting Aminu's and Harkless's shot that could attack the rim a little bit and that could knock down a 3. So the Dame bashing needs to stop. I'm super excited for him signing that super max. I want him in Portland his whole career. I don't care what it takes to pay him. He's earned it. He deserves it. He's good enough for it. And the Dame bashing needs to stop. Now, there was one instance where I felt like in Game 3, Dame kind of quit on the team and I was getting blasted for it, and I was completely wrong. It was 100% due to his rib injury, which I didn't know at the time. I just saw multiple plays where he basically ran back at 25%. And when you have a rib injury like that, it's hard to catch your breath. So now I completely understand why he was running back at 25 to 30% on some plays. Without knowing that, without the proper context, it seemed like, oh, this dude's just jogging back like he doesn't care, which I've never seen from Dame. I've never said, oh, Dame's kind of given up. I've never said anything like that. I'm one of the biggest defenders of Dame. But it was just weird to me, like that combined with his body language where he just seemed like kind of out of the game, almost like he didn't care. Now I chalk that up to his ribs absolutely killing him. He had separated ribs, for crying out loud. So I was completely wrong with that take. I just wanted to address that before a couple people possibly said like, oh, well, you said this about Dame. That's why I said it. I was completely wrong. Apologize for it. Should never doubt Dame. I'm somebody who says that all the time, but it was just weird seeing him running back at 25% and his body language being very bad. Now we have the reason for it. So anyways, now we hop into the off season and we're headed towards off season content. So back to Monday mailbags, back to Blazers Pulse episodes, those type of things. Content will be completely different from me. I've been doing pretty much only reactions to the playoffs and game-by-game recaps for how long was this run? Season ended on April 10th and it's May 20th. So that's almost a month and a half. So we'll get back into the swing of things, off-season content, and I'm looking forward to making a few different videos, previewing this off-season, which could be the most important Blazers off-season that I can ever remember. It's going to be a tough off-season because of where we stand with guys like Kanter, Hood, and Curry, and now we have to find a way to build off a Western Conference Finals appearance, which means at least being very competitive in the Western Conference Finals, which means being competitive against the Golden State Warriors, because even if they lose Durant and Cousins, that's still going to be the team to beat. We basically have to adjust our mindset as an organization from one that was trying to prove doubters wrong and make a run in the first couple rounds of the postseason to now a team that needs to have the mindset that they're trying to win it all. And in terms of roster construction, in terms of the moves being made, in terms of how hard we have to work, we need to be an organization that has its goal as an NBA championship. That's what happens after a Western Conference Finals appearance. And that's going to be very hard with our situation this offseason. So I'll talk a lot more about that. It's going to be very interesting. So I hope you enjoy that content. And yeah, that wraps up this Raw reaction for the Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Really too bad that we can't move on to the finals and have a chance at a ring, but it's been a great run. So with that being said, this has been Tori. I'll catch you true Blazer fans later. Peace out. Go Blazers.